think about body language, we think about how we connect to other people. But when I chose to name this body language, I chose it because I wanted to talk about the cues that we give to our own bodies, what we're saying that our mouths never do, because our bodies are keeping score. It's going to tell the truth about your stress, about your pressure, and about what it is that you're actually carrying. And then when it comes to high functioning men, especially strong, disciplined, successful men, there is a language being spoken that no one is translating. Those long hours, the tight shoulders, the fatigue that never gets named, the grind that gets applauded. We celebrate that production, we celebrate the endurance, and we celebrate the sacrifice. But rarely do we ask, what is it costing? That is what I want to dive into a little bit deeper. What makes a powerful man uncomfortable in a space designed for restoration? What does exposure mean when you've built a life on strength and control? Today's episode isn't about criticizing the men, it is about understanding them. Because when strong men don't show their emotions and their wear and tear, their bodies do. And if we don't give them a space to listen to that language, it'll eventually speak for us. And today, we're going to talk about that strength, silence, and self care. All right, so I couldn't have this conversation without bringing the most masculine man that I know and that I also have the privilege of being right on side of to understand this at a different level. I want to speak to this from your lens. So let's have this conversation with my husband, Oliver Thomas.
Well, thank you, man. I'm excited. I'm kind of nervous, but the topic is one that me and men speak about and talk about. As a matter of fact, if you read some of my writings and watch some of the things, conversations that I have when I am on social media about what's happening with men and some of the research that I've done, uh, this is a very important issue. And the only thing I would add is that when you talk about high functioning men, there's another category of man uh, that most of that is times two, and that is black men. So whatever is happening to men on a global level, on a universal level, is usually happening to us at a compounded issue from our wellness to how we feel to what we think wellness is. So I'm thankful for the topic.
Oh yeah, I want to get into these types of conversations because there's a lot of norms that have been created around wellness. And although I'm appreciative because I've been in the industry so long, I still think that there's some things that we can unpack and discuss that maybe some other people are dealing with and don't realize it's a hindrance for them. So with that, I want to jump right into it. When high performing men hear the words wellness, what do they think it's for and who do they think it's for?
Well, usually what we think it's for is for the people who count on us. Uh, the one thing about being a black man, especially when you function in this society in America, rarely do we think about ourselves. We think about who we provide for, who we care for, who depends on us. So, what does the word wellness usually mean? It usually means that everybody is all right in spite of where we are and whether we're all right.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you feel like you were first taught like what strength meant to you or and let me know if that equals
Yeah,
weakness.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you try to take care of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, as an older male, OG, somebody who's been through some stuff, right? I was taught by the men in my life, watching my grandfather, my uncles, my father, and that definition of being male had nothing to do with how you felt, how you feel. It was how you function.
Yeah.
So that's where the first definition of being a man and how to be a man came for me.
So you feel like if you connect that to wellness, like in rest, is that considered a weakness?
Yeah, and that's where you get into the thing for a black man. We hear the term "black men don't cry." Uh, Black men are hypermasculine. Uh, Black men don't go to therapy. Uh, Black men, this. Black men that. Now, of course, as I've gotten older, through the trials and tribulations, ups and downs, the gains and losses, I've learned a little more about all of that. But Yeah, I mean, the definition came from what I was raised with, what I was surrounded with, but also fortified by my own perceptions. And I have some issues with what masculinity is or isn't today. Some I keep to myself. Some I think have been systemic in terms of what they've done to black men and how the black men are portrayed. But wellness and how black men feel should be a universal concept, and that's the importance I think this show and the point you're trying to make is that if we don't feel good, how can we really feel good for the others that we want to feel good?
Yeah. So, as a high functioning man, do you feel like your value is tied to what you produce?
Uh, yeah, look, men have always accepted the responsibility, power, influence, and money. What's your title? You know, where do you contribute? What's your talent? Rarely is it about what your interests are, what your gifts are. So
So,
yeah,
you think the way that you actually feel is not connected to the value that you produce?
and that's a whole nother issue too with men versus black men. Uh, I think in many cases, if and when we can't produce, we're not looked at as being very manly. But that doesn't mean you can't produce in other areas. You know, if you look at what's happening in the African American community, the black man has been devalued. I've written on this. You've read some, and you've heard some of my commentary. You know, where black men are missing from six important sectors of this society, and no one seems to be starting a movement for us. We're out of the community, missing from the home, missing from the school, missing from the college, missing from the job. The CNBC economic report in February 2024 said we're being pushed out of the economy. But everybody wants, we got chastised for not being in the voting booth. Well,
So, if you take all that into consideration, though, do you think that this is an indulgence, or do you feel like it's not necessary? Like, if you take all these factors into consideration that are needed that you're wearing on your back, do you still see wellness or self care as something that's indulgent or like something that's just casual versus a necessity?
that's a very powerful question, and especially given and putting it in context to this show and the point you're trying to get off. Self wellness is important if we're going to survive. And I'm just really just thinking about that right now because as someone who's been conditioned to what a man ought to be and what he ought to represent and how he ought to feel, if we don't take care of ourselves, then first and foremost, we can't take care of others. And then secondly, all of the areas where we have trouble will be compounded.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So tell me about a time where you pushed past like your pain or the thing that you were dealing with and
This
still
morning,
wow.
I mean, to be black and to be male, and look, it takes nothing away from what our women have accomplished. You know, I think black women are the strongest creature to ever grace this earth. But if we can be honest, they're always strong enough to make sure that we knew we had a place, we had a space, and that we were safe. Now in this society where we seem to be pitted against each other, either or, not both for,
Yeah.
right? Many black men like myself and those who are part of Fathers Matters, Black Men Build, I remember Kev and Jeff's movement for black men several years ago, the 1,000-man march with Brother Willie. See us in the street. I think right now we're not sure, and we're not well. So, what conversations like this and powerful points like this, I think, give us a pause to do a check-in to see how do we get back to a place and space where we're well.
Okay, let's stop right there for a second. So you basically said that you've pushed past, pain and discomfort just today, right? And that stress that's associated with it. But you view this as irresponsible if you don't, right? So when does that discipline become neglect?
When you're dead,
Wow. When you dead? No way.
when I mean, so
No, seriously.
you know,
Think about
just,
that
no,
for a second. When does that pain
seriously.
now become a hindrance to
I
you?
think this is a good conversation. Seriously, right? As a black man, we wake up, we struggle. The Brookings Institute report in 2022, Dr. Camille Dussett, it was a commission with Marco Rubio and Kamala Harris and some of the most notable people in the world. That report in 2022 says black men and boys face discrimination and obstacles in every social institution. It didn't say some. It said every social institution. So we push past it every day. There's physical pain, there's mental pain, spiritual pain. So every day as a black male, then I wake up thinking about what hurdle is next, what obstacle is next. And then if I'm not doing wellness check-ins, like you did, man, where does the physical pain come from?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let me switch gears a little bit because I can see like as a high functioning male, it is even challenging for you to even see that as neglect, right? It's so normal to just push past that, like you're saying, every single day that you're not even viewing it as neglectful. So there was this viral moment this week with Deion Sanders where he went to the spa and he wouldn't take his clothes off. He was fully like dressed. And it made me think about when we when we first started going to spas and stuff, how it was like a moment for you where you was like, wait, take my clothes off, right? It wasn't like a thing. And
Well, you got to have good boxes.
so I just want to ask that question, like what makes a high functioning man feel so uncomfortable? Is it a sign of vulnerability? What is that? What is that moment?
Well, if you're already exposed with your clothes on, with the armor of what you do, your title, your celebrity, your influence, your money, how do you think we feel when we're naked? Even more exposed, even more vulnerable. And it doesn't matter the setting. All you know is you feel unprotected and you don't feel safe, especially if it's not in an environment you created.
Yeah. So all things that we're talking about right now is kind of inside the mind of a high functioning male, in particular a black male, and we're thinking about these different perspectives, and the conversation is about the body language, right? Which is that reflection of you being what you see. And so how do we change some of this to find a space? Because a lot of this is going to be based on how you show up, which is in fact wellness, right? Wellness is what you're doing for your own well-being, that mental, that spiritual, that physical connection. Now, I'm very familiar with men who go to the gym. I think that's one of y'all number one go-tos is let me go to the actual gym. So that and there are some mental components that you guys take, that break by yourself, those walks, and things of that sort. But from a holistic perspective, there's still some resistance when it comes to some of the things that women may have not necessarily seen as a challenge as much as men have.
Yeah.
So how do we create this space inside of your own mind where you begin to see that wellness, no matter what society is creating, starts from within?
Well, I have an answer. Hashtag Black Men Matter. And if our society begins to function like that, how it feels when we're lumped into a category where it's generalized. All men, those men. It's like when people say those children. How could they? No, I mean, that was that one. How does it relate to they? When we get to a point in society where the Brookings Institute report, the economic report that says, well, we have a place economically, where we're not challenged to compete just to be seen, when we're not expendable, but people understand that we're dependable. When we're not lumped into a basket with all those who may have done wrong and don't do it right, when that happens, then wellness begins to permeate and manifest itself and how society feels about us. So then we'll be the natural beneficiary of that.
You know, I'm a little different. Like, I am going to take that self care rest. You know me well enough to know I will shut the whole world down when I don't feel like I'm operating in a space that I'm comfortable with. I don't necessarily need permission to do that. I'm going to do that whether it's every day, every week, every month, like whatever I need that space for myself.
Yeah,
Do
but
you feel?
women do that, especially most modern day women. They pause for them, and they should. Our women have done a lot to carry a major burden. Uh, but how do you pause when you're counted on for family, for business, for spouse, professionally, financially, in terms of the community? How do you pause? Because especially if you feel like if you pause, then you're pushed out.
So, do you think that men have the opportunity, or do they not have the opportunity to say, hey, I'm tired, or emotionally, I need this break, or physically, I need this break? Do you feel like there's a space where men can actually do that?
Yeah, and I think it's efforts like this and others, and I mentioned Fathers Matter, Black Men Build, and other organizations that are starting to look at where we're absent and how Black men are treated and also treat themselves, that are giving credence to the fact that, yeah, man, yeah, you need to do your own self-check-in. You need to value yourself and your worth, not based on what you have or what you do, but the fact that you matter. But there also has to be that societal effort that debunks the conversations about Black men were chastised because not enough of us voted for Kamala Harris. Well, 90% of us did. I thought 90% was good. That debunks the Brookings Institute report, economic reports about how we're being pushed out of the economy. So two things have to happen. We have to take advantage of opportunities like this, self-realization. And then society has to meet us where we are with our efforts.
So, who do men talk to when they feel overwhelmed? Like, where is that space?
God or some mythical dude that you created. We don't even talk to, unlike women, we don't even talk to our friends because being vulnerable with your friends could be a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So who do you talk to? You talk to yourself. Now, you have to learn to talk to other people, but you have to be confident that they're listening.
Yeah. So I'm big on wellness, but I'm big on self-reflection with my wellness. I find whatever tool that I need to find in order to, produce the results that I'm looking for my well-being. Not necessarily as much with other people, but because my social media isn't as big as maybe some other people's, but I do allocate that time based on the needs
Yeah, but
that
your
I
platform
have.
is you have a huge platform. So there has to be an effort, and I am happy to see. I'm seeing more wellness initiatives on social media. I'm seeing more high functioning women talk about not just where's the brother, but how's the brother. And if we don't know where the brother is, how do we get him here? And I see it catching up with movements that many of us were involved in with years ago. And so I'm actually optimistic that maybe the next generation of men will understand not only what wellness is, but how to function with wellness.
And I'm happy you brought that up because you have a son, right? And so what do you feel like based on all of this, information that is being downloaded into a man every single day that wants to be high functioning, wants to be successful, what do you think is happening to the sons that are watching these men?
I have a son, and I buried my oldest son. So my wishes for my son is compounded, right? And I'm also mindful of, man, I really get full thinking about this. Every man who was close to me is dead. So when I look at my son, will the world be as fair to him as it was unfair, some of us think, to the rest of us? And how do I prepare him to be better than me, but also to be prepared for a world that may be unfair, but that he still has to function?
So, wow, that was deep because you are looking at life through your lens, and then when we have kids, it's also our responsibility to kind of pass that torch to them as best as we can.
Right.
You know, so based on the wellness habits that you do have, what would you say would be beneficial to your son, and how would he be able to be, you know, successful in what he's saying with you from a wellness perspective?
I think we have to realize what society tells us in emergency situations. And this thought just came to me listening to you, is that in case of turbulence, in case of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on and make sure you're secure first.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones.
You're first.
Yeah.
And it continuously tells us that if you understand that, then your son, your daughter, they're going to be all right. And I think we have to reach a point where wellness, mental, emotional, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, for us, is not just about neglecting others, but it's about making sure that they're not neglected.
Wow. So what, in your words, would masculinity gain and not lose by more men taking on this wellness approach? What would you see as beneficial to, you know, men, in particular Black high functioning men in totality, if they understood that their rest was equally as successful?
Longevity.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to look for places and spaces where we're diminished. You would automatically see us there. We would be able to function because of and in spite of. And our young men and our young women would automatically see how necessary we are in our best state, not just in the state of survival.
So what do you do for burnout? When you feel burnt out, like what is it that you're implementing?
Sit in front of the TV and go to sleep.
Have you not learned anything from me?
And let it watch me. No, I've look, I go get pedicures done, and I never did that before. I'm like, I ain't going to no beauty salon. What you talking about? Yeah.
And you have learned to kind of take some of that off, because if I do like a stretch or something on you, you will actually relax.
I put Vaseline and lotion on my feet now. I'm like, I'm like, man, I ain't never saw my daddy lotion his feet, but that keeps your feet moist. That's your base, a lot your nerves. So I've learned to meditate. I lie on the floor now so that my skeleton can reset. I'm 6'5", but as I've gotten older, I'm 6'4". But when you do your skeletal reset, your body stretches out. Inside your largest organ, and I go sit on the lakefront now and become one with nature. Even though as an outdoorsman, somebody who's hunted, I appreciated the wilderness for the high energy, and primitive nature that it was, not for wellness and being holistic. So I can appreciate that now too.
I love it. I'm actually really proud of you. So I know I got with you a little bit later on in life, and introducing some of these wellness practices were relatively new to you. So if you could close with maybe something that you realized from your younger self to your older self that you would pass on to the next high functioning male, so that you could save them the space and time to know that their productivity is key to their success.
Put your mask on first. Make sure you're okay. That amplifies the fact that the people who count on you are okay. It's okay to be vulnerable if you've created a safe space for yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. And we have to learn to listen. And as Black men, it's never going to be perfect, but we can be perfect in how we care for ourselves to be ready for imperfection. And as our young men watch us, they'll know that just because everything isn't all right, it doesn't mean that we can't be all
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time so much.
right. Blessings.
I
Great
want.
show. Great topic.
Thank you. I want to be able to have more conversations like this, more topics like this. I usually talk to women the most, but I feel like this is very important for us to have these conversations as a community in totality. So I hope to see you guys and having more wellness talks like this.
Hashtag Black Men Matter.
Yes, yes, yes.